Hi there, welcome to part 3. Now, V'Ger, wasting no time, it dispatches and destroys all of Earth's defences.
V'Ger is transmitting.
Then it starts trying to communicate with Earth, because apparently it wants to talk to its creator. But it's using a very primitive form of communication that we don't use.
Carrier wave signal. Radio.
Apparently he favours the older style of communication. Now he must have some old FM radio he's trying to fiddle around with. Anyway, apparently the creator doesn't want to talk to him, so he thinks, I know what I'll do. I'll threaten the creator's Earth, you know, that I'll destroy it. That will always get his attention. What a numpty.
Carbon units are not an infestation.
Now we find out that V'Ger thinks the crew of the Enterprise are infesting it. He doesn't actually acknowledge them as a true life form. Only the Enterprise and others like the Enterprise are true life forms. And he thinks that his creator is living on Earth, so naturally he thinks the creator is going to be like him. Not like a human, though. No.
V'Ger's saying its creator is a machine.
What a revelation! I could have told you V'Ger thinks his creator's a machine from the beginning! Damn, these people are slow on this ship, aren't they? Now we find out from Spock that V'Ger is essentially a child. It's growing and it's learning. So with that information, Kirk thinks we may have a chance here. So it's a game of poker, or in layman's terms, it's a time to try and bluff V'Ger out to see his hand. Well, on hearing that Kirk still isn't going to give him information, V'Ger starts to have a little bit of a hissy fit. So now V'Ger asks again, Kirk, will you give me the information? And Kirk goes, but you're going to destroy all the people or the carbon-based units on the Earth. Give me an alternative. Doesn't, so fine, that's it, I'm off. Now V'Ger gets a little bit pathetic and almost starts to beg. And Kirk now thinks, now this is a good time to use my bluff. Look, I'll give you the information if you remove the things circling the Earth. But V'Ger puts it the other way around. I'll only remove them after you've given me the information. And Kirk's bluff's been called.
It learns fast, Captain.
Well, with Kirk's bluff pulled, he really has no choice but to go through with it. But he makes a contingency plan. He contacts Scotty down there in engineering and tells him to prepare for self-destruct.
I would say that's because he thinks.
And as Scotty says here, he's guessing that if he puts a ship on self-destruct with that matter and antimatter hit, it'll blow everything up. They finally make it to V'Ger, and Decker perks up and says, well, if you lot are going down to V'Ger, I think it's only right that I go down with you. And Kirk doesn't argue the point with him for once. And off they go down to finally, eventually, meet this elusive V'Ger. V'Ger, by the way, has created an air pocket because, yes, they can't breathe in space, and you notice they don't have space suits on. I thought I'd just show you a close-up, you know, just for the hell of it. Anyway, now begins their long trek to V'Ger. Do you see I threw that one in there? Trek? Star Trek? No? Oh, right, fair enough. Alright, I'll skip it out because it goes on for about, 14 hours, and eventually they make it to this elusive V'Ger. How unimpressive is that? Well, Kirk wastes no time in apparently just rubbing dirt off, and he rubs it off to reveal the name V'Ger. But apparently the aliens beforehand made a mistake. They just read what they saw. Further analysis reads a different name.
Voyager.
Don't worry, it's not that Voyager, everybody. Well, now they know it's Voyager 6. They know that they lost this particular craft 300 years ago, and they think they lost it in a black hole, and its primary mission was to gather information and bring it back and download. And they start to speculate now that when it fell through this black hole, it was taken up by this machine planet who saw traces of themselves in an infant state, say like you found a baby. So they took it upon themselves to help V'Ger, or as it is, because they're too stupid to rub the dirt off it, to complete its mission. So they obviously enabled V'Ger to return back to Earth, and on its way back it became self-aware. And this is why we get the dilemma now, because it's trying to grow and expand its knowledge, and just downloading it back to the creator, well, has delusions of grandeur now about its creator. Unfortunately, I think it'll find its creator is just some science boffin sitting at NASA. Unfortunately, NASA's long since gone. So what Kirk does is he tries to get the Enterprise records up, and he wants the Enterprise to transmit the exact codes that NASA would have transmitted to Voyager, so it will download all the information, thereby effectively ending its mission, speaking to its creator, and finishing its program. But unfortunately, V'Ger doesn't like that idea and blows its own communication system up so it can't be transmitted via the Enterprise. The creator has to come to V'Ger himself.
Must evolve.
Now Spock begins to tell them that V'Ger has actually reached its limitations. It needs to evolve, it needs to move on. It's gone as far as its computer programming or the programming of the alien planet that it landed on can go. It wants to transform, it wants to move on beyond. It's asking questions, but it's asking for answers that there isn't necessarily an answer for, so it needs to have an imagination. And to have an imagination requires it to have a soul. As I said, it needs to move beyond logic. So what it's primarily asking for is to bond with a human.
You mean this machine wants to physically join with a human?
So Decker volunteers to do it. And he tells Kirk, I've cut it out because it goes on for too long, I want this like you wanted the Enterprise. Now he begins to, I have no idea now what's going on. Is he beaming onto it, warping into it, merging with Ilia? It asks questions. Why didn't V'Ger just merge with Ilia in the first place? God, I don't know what's going on, but apparently they're becoming one, or three, or whatever. Now we're treated to some nice special effects. V'Ger apparently implodes, or I don't know, evolves, or just vanishes in general. And all that's left is the Enterprise. Now, with that all over, V'Ger apparently has evolved. They've witnessed the birth of a new creation, apparently our evolution, according to Spock. So our evolution is to just vanish into a stream of special effects. I sincerely hope not. They banter for a little bit. Kirk gets back into the chair, lists them both as missing, Decker and Ilia that is, and says, well, a mission well done, my friends. Now let's prepare for our next film and warp off as quick as we can. And that, my friends, is the end of Star Trek The Motion Picture. Good film or a bad film, you can't ignore, it's a long flipping film. I've got to say, all criticism aside though, I actually quite enjoyed the film. If you're a fan of 2001 or Silent Running, this is the sort of film that would appeal to you. But my review's not quite over. I did mention some discrepancies with a particular Next Generation enemy which could have tied nicely into this film. Most of you probably know it, but I'm just going to give you my interpretation of what I think they could have done to make the later films better. Well, if you remember, they first met the Borg in Q-Who, so instead of asking Whoopi to ramble on about her people and what happened to her people, because nobody really cares about them, she could have turned around and said, you know what, Picard, look, if you look back into your own records, I think you'll find out that a very prominent captain of your past, and i.e. Captain Kirk, encountered a ship from a machine world, and if you were to look into his records, you might find similarities between that machine and the Borg. Now go away and leave me alone and talk about my people. Hey, you remember that film Star Trek Generations? Now this is where I felt they could have really tied it in nicely to Star Trek 1. And this is the best way they could have done it. Instead of the Borg Queen not answering any questions, evading them with answers like, I am the beginning and the end, I bring order to chaos and all that crap, she could have actually built a story out of the original Star Trek movie. Now I think it should have gone something like, many years ago a probe came through a black hole, and back then we Borg aren't as you know us now, we weren't conquerors, and it had this need, this desire to expand itself and to search and then return with its information. Now that changed us as Borg. We were never the same again after, but it began to break us down as drones, so the only way we could purge ourselves of this is to create a single Borg, a special drone, not like the others, one that had the ability to think on its own. And thus I was created. Thus the explanation of the Borg Queen. And from then on,
Do you control the Borg collective?
you could say that she ruled over them, manipulated them, because they were just drones, so they run off a collective. And that would have explained where she come from, why she's an individual, and why she talks about herself in the first person. My God, are they so stupid, the writers? They had the possibility of tying it into Star Trek 1 and making a great story. And what do we get? This random Borg who just says, I've always been here, I always will be, I just happen to be an individual and all the others just happen to live with it quite happily. What a stupid story. Oh dear, never mind, never mind. We've got the latest Star Trek film now to think about. And if anybody's interested, I'm more than happy to give my opinion on it. But for the time being, take care everybody and avoid crappy films.
By assimilating other beings into our collective, we're bringing them closer to perfection.